As you might have guessed, Whoopi is still not feeling up to par yet. We're hoping she'll be back soon, and we look forward to her triumphant return to the table. And today, our guest co-host is New York Times op-ed writer Bari Weiss. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
And I'm sorry, my old friend from college, Bari. We went to Columbia together.
I promise not to share any embarrassing Meghan stories from Columbia.
Last night I emailed, I was like, no Columbia stories on the show, okay?
Okay. So the hot topic that is breaking this morning is a bombshell expose in the New Yorker that claims that for Fox News killed, watch this, killed the Stormy Daniels story so it wouldn't hurt Trump's campaign. So much for the free press. The article claims that Fox News entertainment reporter Diana Falzone, I think that's how she says it.
Diana Falzone.
Well, she's Italian. It's Falzone, all right? Diana brought them the story, but the head of the FoxNews.com at the time, Ken LaCorte, I presume that's not LaCorte, told her, quote, "Good reporting, kiddo, but Rupert Murdoch wants Donald Trump to win, so let's just let it go." So does this prove that Fox News is just a mouthpiece for the Trump administration, or what?
Didn't we already know that? I mean, the Jane Mayer story is a bombshell, not just because of the Stormy Daniels revelation, the fact that they killed it because they cared about promoting Trump more than they cared about an unbelievable news story, right? So on that score, it proves that it's more propagandistic than it is about news. But then there's this other bombshell, which is that Gary Cohen intervened with the Justice Department in the AT&T Time Warner merger in order to help enact President Trump's vendetta against CNN. So I'm sorry, isn't that abuse of power? I mean, forgetting even the Jared Kushner security clearance abuse of power. That alone.
And by the way, Rupert Murdoch is Australian, so not just the Russians are bothering us.
You have that piece too. I mean, it's just a terrible thing. It does show that there's this incredible notion that Fox News has become, I guess, state-run television. I wonder if you can trust the journalism that's coming out of Fox News now. And I think what worries me is that you do have some good journalists there. I mean, Chris Wallace being one of them. And so what does that do to someone like Chris Wallace, who I think tries really hard to get it right?
Has he responded to this news by any chance? Does anyone know?
It just broke. And then I wonder about this reporter, Falzone, who, you know, Ronan Farrow won a Pulitzer Prize for this reporting. And so that story was hers first. And you have her employer taking that opportunity away from her and taking that story away from the American public right before an election. I mean, had everyone known about Stormy Daniels, I mean, would they have voted for this president?
Yes.
Maybe not.
They still would have voted for him.
I don't know. That influenced, I think, the outcome of the election.
There's another part of the Fox story from Jane Mayer that alleges, and this is not 100% at this point, you probably know more about this than I do, that somebody, Rupert Murdoch, might have given the question about that, what's her name?
Oh, the Megyn Kelly.
Megyn Kelly was going to ask Trump, remember, which annoyed him about sexual abuse.
It said that Roger Ailes, I guess,
Roger Ailes, not
sent
right, that's right.
And by the way...
And so after he said, you know, she's bleeding from the wherever, he still got all the votes.
Wait,
so they realized he was Teflon at that point, if this is true.
Oh, so that's a piece of this. And again, this is all like allegedly. But I do think the biggest part of the piece is this Stormy Daniels story. And Meg and I, look, we both worked at Fox. I can only speak for myself at the table. I worked under the news division. I worked in the bureau with all the reporters when I first got there, and I worked on an opinion show. And you have to separate the two. If you're going to turn on Sean Hannity at night, you have to know that you're going to get probably stuff supporting Trump. That's his take.
Right.
But the news side of Fox very, very seriously there. And there are, as we always say, wonderful people that work there. Diana Falzone, I knew when I worked there, she was a great reporter. And if this story is true, and there are many reasons to believe it is based off the piece, that is a real problem for Fox, and it's a problem for the journalists that work there that want to break these stories. That is why they're there to do their job. And that is the biggest part of the story. If it comes out to be true, they've got a real problem on their hands.
Because it shows that the two now are conflated, right? The propaganda, the state-run television part of it, the opinion part, has taken over the news function.
Well, the
But
boss, what the boss says.
But the other thing is, if you're just a regular American watching Fox News, it blends together. It goes from, you know, a show like Chris Wallace and Brett Baer, which is actual news, into people talking about, you know, out-and-out conspiracy theories like prayer rugs at the border and the Soros-occupied State Department. And when that all gets...
Some more lies.
Just to counterpunch on that
Yeah.
is Donna Brazile was exposed in WikiLeaks for giving up a debate question from the Clinton campaign.
And she
that
resigned.
She knew through CNN. Yes, I'm just saying, like, the debate question thing has now happened on both sides.
Yes.
I would make the same argument about CNN commentators, that there's a lot of times that I don't know the difference between an opinion host and a journalist on CNN as well. So I think this is a systemic problem with journalism in general. You're a great journalist. I don't know if you would disagree with me one way or the other. I will say...
I totally agree on that. I just think it'd be strange for a news organization to kill a scoop like that.
I don't disagree with that, but I would also say that I also worked with Diane, and she is a great journalist, and some of the other elements at play in this, you guys probably don't know who this is, but I do because I grew up in Phoenix and Scottsdale. They're like 10 minutes apart, but there's a gossip columnist named Nick Ritchie who ran a website called Dirty Scottsdale that turned into The Dirty. He's also involved in this, and what's interesting to me is a lot of times it's like the National Enquirer and gossip people that start with these stories, and then it filters its way up one way or the other, and I think we maybe aren't giving people like the National Enquirer and Nick Ritchie enough credence for doing
Well, the
other
National
kind of
Enquirer
journalism.
broke the John Edwards story.
Yeah.
We have a
So-
legal note, Sonny.
We do. We have a legal note. Excuse me. The former Fox News executive Ken LaCourte, accused of killing the story, has since reportedly said that he'd made the call without talking to superiors and claimed, quote, the story simply hadn't passed muster and that he didn't do it to protect Trump.
Oh, baloney.
The other thing I'm supposed to add is that the Gary Cohen story is alleged him intervening in the State Department, but read the New Yorker story. Jane Mayer is a crack reporter.
I must take issue about the CNN because we were at Anna Navarro's wedding yesterday, and Wolf Blitzer was there.
Yes.
And he told us the funniest story. I just have to tell you this story. He's got a 2-year-old grandson, and he said the kid goes, "Happening now, breaking news, Trump's."
I forgot about that. Sorry.
2 years old. I thought that was so funny.
First sentence.
Happening now. Okay.